Good morning, everyone. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to today's webinar sponsored by INT. My name is Claudia Juarez and I am part of the marketing team and I'm going to be your host today. Today's topic is the 2024 release of GeoToolkit.JS and its comprehensive online documentation. Just to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started, we are recording this session and we'll make it available for you in the next few days via email. We also value interaction and open communication. So if you have any questions or comments, you can type them in the question box, the Q&A box or chat window, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. And of course, if you have extra questions at the end of the webinar, you can always email us at marketing@int.com. Once again, marketing@int.com. So as I mentioned, we will exploring the new features and improvements of the latest release of GeoToolkit.JS 2024. This release introduces significant advancement in well log, seismic, and schematics visualization, expand 3D capabilities, and enhance charting functionalities, and offer a range of other improvements to streamline your workflow. Additionally, we are excited to showcase the new GeoToolkit Online Documentation, a resource designed to empower developers build built-in interaction well log, seismic displays, or custom geospatial solutions. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our speaker, Dmitry Lukyanenko, Director of Software Development at INT. Dmitry built and led the innovation and development of GeoToolkit products, which have powered visualization in the industry for more than 20 years. So let's get ready for an insightful session that will hopefully leave you with a deeper understanding of GeoToolkit.JS 2024 new features. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us today. And Dmitry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Claudia. Yes, my name is Dmitry Lukyanenko. Today we am going to introduce new release of GeoToolkit.JS 2024 or internal number 4.1. And let's start. Before, I would like to give you some very quick history about releases, what we did in the past years. I think probably here most important to start from 2023 when we released 4.0 release. It was major release for us because it includes a lot of new features, and especially we completely migrate our development to TypeScript and completely drop ES5 support. And it was major release, and this year we continue working based on 4.0 and created release 4.1 2024. So it includes a lot of new features as well, and some improvement based on previous one. So let's cover some details. Yes, and I would like to mention that currently I'm planning to describe all features what we will have for different modules, and in the end of a presentation, I will run a live demo and just demonstrate how it's look like in real documentation. First of all, let's start from core toolkit. So we continue clean up our TypeScript code because migration was huge and requires a lot of modification. So we also added some minor improvements to allow to disconnect widget to plot without extra code to connect tools. And also in last release, we introduced new chart widget, which is combination of all available charts. And this release, we decide to go with it and add new features. For example, options to switch from different coordinate systems, like from Cartesian to polar coordinate system. And so we introduce polar chart and also ternary chart. It's for you as developer, it allows to maybe to write one line of code to switch between like Cartesian to polar coordinate, and you will have, for example, from scatter plot, you can see scatter plot inside of chart widget in polar coordinates. Also, we support rows diagram, line charts. You can see some screenshot which demonstrates scatter plot on top and ternary chart in the bottom part. So it's easy to use. It supports different tools and API is quite easy to understand and reuse. Also, we decide to add some new demos for existing core toolkits. First of all, it's chart one based on chart widget, which we try to demonstrate different functionality, combination of different charts together, and also created production monitoring dashboard, which demonstrate integration of different widgets. And also edits a couple new tutorials to chart package. I'm going to cover these features a little bit later when we can talk about, for example, about error chart. Also, we try to improve existing charts and shapes. For example, like a line chart received new functionality. Now you can color it by other variable. For example, you can provide additional variable and it will be color your line chart. You can see this is how it's look like in tutorials in our chart widget sections. Line chart. Also, the same functionality we added for more simple shapes like polyline and spline. Also, we spent some time to improving performance of scatter plot because it's normally has a lot of samples and here's performance is very important. So we improved performance, also reduced memory usage in the scatter plot. Also, some minor features, edit rotation for different chart, like bubble chart, cross plot chart, line chart. So now we can change orientation, for example, from vertical to horizontal easily. And also we little bit review our selection API to try to simplify some API to select samples easily. Also, we reviewed some existing tutorials, like rewrite synchronize plot using chart widget, change crosshair tutorial to demonstrate new features from crosshair tool. Also, we try to replace everywhere some low-level shapes by more high-level components. So we just replace annotated node by annotated widget everywhere. And also we are keeping to support React Native, and this time for this release we converted all examples to TypeScript for React Native. Next part for also related to chart package, it's a new chart. It's a error bar chart, or sometimes can be called uncertainty chart. So you can see two screenshots with different representation. So on bottom one is the most classical representation of error chart, which you can see two different lines for each dimension. And vertical and top one is more, let's say, customized version of this chart, which will display just rectangles instead of two lines. So here, error and value can specify, can be model coordinate or device coordinates, which do you prefer, and also support error for vertical, horizontal direction. So it's like first one, it's you can see also combination of this chart with scatter plot. And also we edit several enhancements to regression line. So it's like first we draw a gap, a line between the regression line and its points. Formally, it will be next part of release, but for also it will be some patch for existing release. So if you received some updated version of 4.1, it will include these features as well. Also, we edit regression labels, displaying uncertainty of regression lines. You can see it can be seen in bottom screenshot. Also, would like to mention that regression line and also error chart as other charts support all available features. It's highlighting, some picking, tooltips. All this part is done automatically. Also, options to include information inside of legend. In other parts, we also improve edit handles styling, improve tooltip to show manually tooltip. So we improve color bar tool. It edit support of reference line as a shape and time series widget. And also another very important, maybe the last item for core toolkit, but not the least. It's a feature we finally included a special developer tool extension for Chrome browser. You can see some screenshots um, here, which allows you to navigate on any GeoToolkit plot and see internal structure of it, including like scene graph structure. Also, you can see some properties for each object, and also you can apply any CSS styles and also copy this information and reuse it. It's a very useful tool which will allow you to first to understand structure, maybe to in some cases also debug to see which property each like visual object has, and also maybe to apply styles and see how it works. In the current moment for this release, it's a part of distribution. So when you receive your package, you can look at like folder structure, and you can find this extension. So it's easy to add manually inside of your Chrome browser. Just run browser, go to some developer tools and open extensions and select from file, load it, and it will be activated, and you can use in your development this tool. We decide for this version just put it like in local distribution because we would like to have some feedbacks from you guys to see which is it enough features and what maybe if we would like to have some improvement or enhancements for this tool. When it will be, I would say, after maybe for next releases, we are planning to add it to Chrome store as a as a plugin which can be easily it will be available for everybody. And this is it for Core Toolkit. Next part, I would like to talk a little bit about 3D because this release of 3D module of GeoToolkit includes a lot of different improvements, enhancements. We have a big team of developers who edit new features for this release. First, I would like to start from reservoir along a well. It's new feature, so it's entirely generated but interpolation from a series of data slides along a well path. You can see some screenshot from tutorials. Also, support X simulations, simulations calls from powerful LOD support, level of detail support. Also, in additional, we decide to review all tutorials in 3D module and demos as well. So some of them completely rewritten. We changed look and feel, some description of each tutorials. We also introduced several new tutorials as well to show depth spilling, highlighting, anti-aliasing. Also, I did some tutorials to demonstrate 3D object, textured 3D object, and also with minor parts which just deprecate GLTF loader. Here you can see in this screenshot, in this slide, couple screenshots from existing tutorials. So you can see, like for example, from right side screenshot, it looks more realistic, and in this case, you can see how to load texture as well, and use different like files, external files to describe geometry. Next, we also added highlight mode for point set to support different modes and introduce a new class to support Veloc Array 2D. So It's new feature. So it's similar to Veloc array, which it can represent a Veloc along a 3D path. Difference, instead of represented the log as a cylinder, Veloc array 2D accepts any user-defined 2D shape. It can be plane, triangle, star, and any shape drawable in 2D. In this example, it uses a square shape. So it's also some for some use cases it can be you can choose which one you would like to use for display array logs. Also, before we had some, I would say, let's call it teeny version of volume rendering, volumetric rendering. This release, we completely review this functionality and just try to do it more useful and for real application. So first of all, it's currently it's part of distribution. Also, it's completely the rendering was rewritten. For this one, it allows to support bigger volume data. So we reduce memory usage and increase performance for this one. And so it's also tutorials. We introduce new tutorials which demonstrate all these features. In addition, support clipping, support different volume rendering modes, which you can play and see which one is better for you. So you can see some screenshot for seismic visualization. Also miscellaneous features, what we did, some improvement for 3D plot, to like support anti-aliasing options, also some horizontal anchor position for 3D labels, polar grid and log grid now support custom peak generator, so also like a big step. Also point set now support highlighting the entire set instead of individual point, and a lot of different fixes and minor improvements which I'm not going to cover here. Next module, Veloc. So it's usually each release for Veloc module we provide like big set of different features because it's a very important module for us and a lot of people use it. So let's start first with headers. So what we did for header for different, for example, for visuals like log curve, some lithology ranges and so on. We first of all we redesigned log visual header to use different layout styles because before it was I would say it wasn't customizable. Also we redesigned adaptive log visual header to support multiple sections. Before we have only 3 sections like top, bottom, the center. Now we can have multiple of them. We can decide how many do you need. So each section can have different size, different set of elements, which can be hidden. Depends visible, depends of your size of your threads. So this part was completely new, which you can use in your application and configure like better custom headers. Also tutorials, new tutorials. We added tutorial for composite log curve. It was missing from previous releases. Next part is tooltips. So I know before for you guys, if you need to display tooltip, so it requires to use one tool and maybe to add like maybe a lot of different code in your application to support the different type of visuals. Now first of all we provide a set of tooltips for all existing log visuals in the GeoToolkit. It has registry which you can use, and also if you're interested, you can always customize and replace any tooltip by your implementation. So next is improve curve editor performance. Now in case of unsorted data, also edit coordinate field support for log bar visual. Next big part, which was done with this release, it's correlation display. So for multi-val widget, we added several options. First of all, example and based on support of options to demonstrate to support proportional distance or equal distance between wells. So you can see on the top a screenshot. It's first of all, first you can see distance between wells. It's like arrow, which also optional. And this one is demonstrate like proportional mode. So distance which you provided can be displayed between wells. It's like one improvement. Second, like maybe it's minor. It's visible depth limits changed event. And the last biggest part here, we also support attach detach headers for well tracks. If you look at the bottom screenshot, you can see that some wells, especially like a second one from left side, and third one is they have attached header to well. So if you move well together, for example, up and down, header will be follow this well. So this feature sometimes it is very useful, especially for some export, for example, to PDF or for maybe for some big scenes. And also it has in current version you have option to specify, for example, attached header for your well and detached footer or reverse. So it can be flexibly you can specify which part should be attached or detached. And for sure, this option supported, for example, by vertical horizontal rotation of wells. Other miscellaneous features for well package, some like minor improve API to set axis header type, to specify header and footer, edit multi-line text support for localitology, labels and headers, add text orientation for modlock, so it can be now text can be vertical, horizontal. Also another maybe sometimes big features, especially for guys who use Node.js, we support LS3 writer, but this writer also can be used inside of a web browser as well. Also edit secondary axis to Veloc. In this screenshot, you can see some primary axis. You can switch between, for example, merged depths to vertical depths and time, and two others will follow to primary space. So before, for sure, it will be possible to do, but it required to write some code. But now this is part which is embedded inside the GeoToolkit. Next module is seismic. For this release, it's let's say two improvements which we added, like big improvements, I would say. First is added alpha support for each type of like seismic upload. Now we can specify separately it's for density, fills, traces, and different traces by status. You can specify different, for example, transparency, so which in some cases can give you maybe better representation. You can see some screenshot which demonstrate these features. And another part, you probably know that in GeoToolkit several releases we include some like filters, for example, gain control and also typer filter as WebAssembly modules. So it allows to have better performance, but we also have some concern from different users who would like to have concern about security, and not everybody would like to see WebAssembly in own application. So current release it allows you. I mean, first of all, we don't load this WebAssembly automatically, so you can specify if you need them. So it's especially for companies who worries about security for WebAssembly, it's easy to disable, and we always have the same version, for example, for the same filters based on just pure JavaScript and TypeScript versions. Next is schematics. For schematics, this release we added support for React Native. So you currently can use schematics widget inside of React Native application and edit some tutorials to demonstrate this functionality. Also, we a little bit review it and implemented new tooltip for different for components, and also reviewed several tutorials to remove some low-level well-worn node and demonstrate just usage of composite schematic widget. Yeah, I think this is it's here probably mostly the last slide. Additional features which we added, it's also available. But I think this one can be important for not for existing customers who use already GeoToolkit, but for new customers. For existing one, you can always can log in to docsint.com and see full documentation of GeoToolkit, included code snippet and load some examples and so on, run in code sandbox. These features still exist. I think we will support and extend it. But in additional, we published a public version of GeoToolkit. I mean, public, I mean here is just a set of tutorials and demos which you can see. And this information can be indexed for sure, but some bots. It's a couple of reasons for that. First, we would like to share it with more people to see online documentation. And second reason is we're thinking about support in generative AI in the nearest future, and this approach allows to index our API using, for example, OpenAI bots and others in the future and it will be included. I mean, it will allow in the future easily maybe to use some AI chats, like for example, like ChatGPT. So this documentation already available. You always can have access to it. I think this is it about some formal slides. I'm going to just switch to live documentation and to just quickly demonstrate a couple features. Let me do it. I can stop share this screen and I will share another one. Okay, can you see my? Yeah, I think you can see my documentation. So let's probably start from some Veloc module and go to correlation display. And here, a second, yeah, you can see this is you can see here some equally spaced distance between wells, and also you have options here to switch dynamically, for example, to proportional mode or equal modes. It's one feature, and some currently it's headers is detached. It means, for example, if I scroll, they stay in the same area. But we also support this version. What I mentioned, it's options to have connected or disconnected headers, like attached, detached. Example, switch to connected version. And now if I decide to move one well, you can see this header is connected to current well. So it's like one big feature what I would like to demonstrate. And also let me go to some new chat functionality what I mentioned in my presentation, like for example, polar chart. So if I'm going to like rows chart, bar charts. So this one, if I open source code, you can see here just only one part, which is important, which you can do. Other part is optional, so it's not related. I mean, sometimes can be related to polar chart, but sometimes if you just switch from like Cartesian system, it will not necessary to provide all this information. So, for example, this one line allows you just to switch from Cartesian to polar coordinate. You can see all functionality available, included special type of tools, like here, also toolkits, highlighting everything with feedback. So the same is related to cross plot, to line charts, and all these features. It's a lot of new functionality here. You can look at these tutorials and see some all features that we support for current chart widget available here. The same with ternary charts. So again, we have here a couple examples for cross plot and line chart. So here again, if I switch, we have special coordinate system. We call it ternary. So you have 3 axes here, and the other part is just standard. So it's not necessary to change. If I switch, for example, from here to Cartesian, or remove this line, it will be just normal scatter plot. It's one feature, and also a couple words about error chart, what I demonstrated before. You can see this is tutorials for basic error chart. You can see tooltips, all functionality selection is available. You can see like error chart together with cross plot. And probably the last part about charts is regression. You can see lines which can be labels which can be displayed for any type of model. For example, for exponential, you can see this line. You can provide residual lines between your points and your line. So it's available for any models, for example. So it can be perpendicular or it can be vertical or horizontal. Depends what you need. And so also you can see here, you can display some redemption lines and all other minor features which we added here. Probably the next part, I'm going quickly to demonstrate preview part. So you can see, if you look at the structure of tutorials, it's completely modified and added new features. For example, this one, volumetric rendering, what I mentioned. So you can see here, you can always change the, for example, a different type of data. You can see seismic, what I mentioned. You can play with a color map to provide each part you would like to see. It supports different options. You can rendering mode. You can see big set of rendering mode. Texture sampling, they enable lights, a lot of features which we didn't have before, and performance is also much better. And also other parts also we modified and improved. For example, reservoir grid. So like well reservoir, what I mentioned, for example, in my example, you can see here. So it's a big reservoir along the well with level of details. And a lot of additional functionality here, which we introduced. I think it's probably this is it. What I'm going to cover today. I didn't cover all functionality what I mentioned in my presentation, but when you have distribution, you can play or just go to public version, and you can see all these features available for you. So let me stop sharing and share the last slide.
Yes, I share with everyone the access to the online documentation if you want to also take a look at that. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for this well-explained presentation. So thank you once again, everyone. Don't forget to follow us on social media to know when we're going to have our next webinar or where we are going to be exhibiting next time. So thank you again and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you guys for your attention. Thank you, bye.